Hey guys, how's it going? Out here at the shop working on the old C5500, the old GMC. And today we're going to do a little bit of maintenance. Got an air filter, fuel filter, oil filter, get those changed out. Do have a quick update from the brake. The brake drums and the brake pads and the slave cylinders, the wheel cylinders for the brakes. Got those down at the brake shop in Wichita, Kansas. They're going to reline the brakes and turn the drums and clean up and see if the slave cylinders can be rebuilt. If not, they will be able to get some new ones. There was a lot of corrosion. I didn't film that part of it because it was I needed to hurry up and get them done, get them over to the shop. So I left the camera aside and still new at this filming stuff. So sometimes we'll do things and just set the camera aside and just knock it out. It's kind of the mode we've always been in. So this transition to things are going to take 2 to 3 times longer. It's taking a little bit more. But anyway, get started on this. See what kind of condition this filter's in while we're here. It's kind of weird to take the cover off with a wing nut. So many modern vehicles now, you've got plastic covers that have screws and stuff, and they're square filters, or like the big Duramax engine, the big round one. And so when you got a carbureted engine, you got a nice round filter up top. Oh, that's gnarly. Yeah. Good thing I got a new one. Well, you know, I don't know if the camera picked that up. Let's see. Oh yeah, camera picks up. You can still see through it. You can tell it's dirty. So, got a new one over here in the box I'll go grab. There's the new one. That'll be nice. Let that engine breathe a little bit. So this here, just go like that. It'd be fine. Nothing to worry about there. So, should I put it upside down? Nah. All right. Put this down. There it is. That's done. Next up, take care of the fuel filter. All right, here's the new fuel filter. Let's see how bad this is stuck on. Oh, not bad at all. Here's a little trick. We got a hose, light pressure, spin. There it goes. If you can break it loose, it'll pull apart easier. And there we go. Knuckle buster. All right. Get broke loose. Light pressure. Don't squeeze too hard with your pliers. You don't want to crush it. Yeah. Look for the filter. The arrow. Arrow goes towards the carburetor. So this truck sat in this barn. Bought this truck July of 2022. No, sorry, 23. July 23. And brought it home. The brakes were pretty bad. You could pump the pedal down and you get nothing. Put the pedal to the floor, you get nothing. So you pump it, you still wouldn't get nothing. But if you held the pedal down, push the pedal down, you held it, you get right to the floor. All of a sudden, all the brakes would lock up. So first thing there was, well, it sat in here, sat in the barn here for a while. And, I would say it was probably September of this year, September 2025. Last year, September 2025. Fired it up. It sat now, so now it sat since the fall of 23, and so fall of 2025. I put a yardstick down in the fuel tank. I wasn't even sure if there's any fuel in it. I pumped the gas pedal a few times, and this thing fired up after maybe 5 seconds of cranking, and most likely fuel all evaporated, drained, fired right up and idled beautifully. These old engines are quite amazing. So a little flare on the end of that, little flare. This plastic one, that flare was a little bigger, so that was a little harder to get done. So we'll get rid of this filter. Got a new fuel filter on there. So that's good up here. Next up, we'll catch you down below. We'll get that oil filter pulled out of here. All right, we're back. Gotta get some tools. So I do not have my little stick. I'm using a tripod, but I do know I need a 9/16 and a 3/4. I'm gonna double check the drain plug. I'm pretty sure it's a 9/16. Yep. And I do know the existing oil filter is a 3/4. So go back over here. I'm gonna grab an extension. I'm really digging the organized toolbox. So yeah, I'm digging it. So I don't know if you can see that right there. Trace my space. That's where I got them. I'm really digging that. Got the tools. Meet you down below the truck. All right, welcome to the underside of the old grain truck. So here's the existing oil filter. So it's a canister style. I've already drained the oil. I'm gonna put a plug in that. It seeps a little bit. Old. This is a 1971, so not too bad at all. I would expect a little bit of leaking here and there. I do need to check on the water pump because it was leaking a little bit. See how bad it is if I decide to actually do anything with it, or just leave it alone. I might just leave it alone. I don't have enough tension on there for the ratchet to ratchet. The ratchet to ratchet. You know what I mean. Wrong way. And calibrate wrist. Oh, click. Yep, right there. Perfect. Perfect. An aircraft, I would absolutely have a torque wrench. This is a grain truck that's going to be out in the field. If that oil plug comes out, it's not going to hurt anything. So I do not know what's going to spill out of here, and it's going to drip. So got to get a bucket. Environmentally conscious green oil bucket. That counts, right? All right. I don't have my little tripod on here, so I'm holding this. Why do I have a feeling I am fixing to make a massive mess? Maybe I'll just let that drain for a little bit. I think that's a good idea. Be right back. All right, how's it look up in there? I don't know if you can see it. Not enough light. I'll take a look. I'll let you know what I think. And then we'll get to the adapter. Be right back after I clean up. All right. This is my hat. It's under the truck somewhere. So here's the new filter, spin-on filter. And here is the canister. For anyone who's never seen the canister style, you have your through bolt. And inside here is the filter element. So there's the filter element. That's seal at the bottom. So same thing that's in the spin-on type, just in a canister. Then here's the canister with the through bolt and a bunch of oil in there. See if I can pour that. Looks okay. Nothing wrong with that. You can still get these canisters. Right there, it's actually, if you can read that, that's actually a WIC part number right there. what I have is an adapter. So up inside there on the engine, there'll be 2 screws that pull out. Remove the adapter for the canister style filter. This will get bolted up in there. A couple internal hex screws, and then spin on filter, another wick. That's what they had at the local shop. It'll be all right. I'm not worried about it. This is an old engine. These old engines can deal with some pretty dirty. There's a lot more tolerance for dirt and debris in the engine. So anyway, it's getting a little later than anticipated. I'll catch you back tomorrow. We'll get that adapter put up under there. I got some oil to clean up under there, and I don't feel like laying in it tonight. So catch you tomorrow. Have a great Friday. What we're working on today. Going to remove this filter adapter and going to install an adapter for a spin-on filter. Get rid of the canister filter. So get that knocked out and show you when it's done. I don't have anywhere to mount the camera down here, so I'm just going to knock it out. All right, the filter adapter has been replaced, so now it's threaded for a spin-on filter. The mating surface for the seal looks really good. It's got a functioning poppet valve, overpressure valve, so everything looks really good. Get the filter on. And we're back. Ready to put some oil in this truck. So I got a big jug of oil. Had to find my funnel. Found the funnel. So we get this serviced up, and in about 20 seconds, we'll know for sure if I remember to put the drain plug back in the oil pan. Get the foil off of there. There we go. The funnel in place. There we go. And if you're wondering, it's the world's best motor oil. That's what I'm using. If you know, you know. We'll put about half of this in there and we'll check it. I don't hear anything dripping on the ground, so it must be pretty good. I can hear it going into the oil pan. I'll pause there. Give it a second to all drain down in there. So here's a fun fact for aircraft. A little different than automobiles. Automobiles, they'll give you an ad in full. Aircraft are going to give you markings for how many quarts are in there. And piston aircraft we're talking. I'm not talking about turbine jet aircraft. So piston aircraft they may have 8 quarts, 12 quarts, 6 quarts for being the capacity that they'll hold. But oftentimes those airplanes will not operate at that. That's gone forever. If you put 12 quarts in one of the big 6-cylinder piston aircraft engines, you go out for a 2-hour flight, you're going to come back and, it needs lots more. And it'll be significantly lower. Each engine is going to be a little different. But, for example, on the big turbocharged 206, Oftentimes that one will, even though the capacity is 12 quarts, it'll find a level that it's happy with. And what happens is the ventilation, the crankcase ventilation ports will just dump the oil overboard, and the belly of the airplane will be disgusting. Very common with flying clubs. Students are learning, and if they're not instructed ahead of time, like in a low 172, you know, that particular flying club may say, hey, let's run these engines at 6 quarts. When it gets to 5, put another quart in there. Well, students will be constantly topping them off. Capacity might be 8 quarts. They might top it off to 8 quarts, and what they end up doing is they end up over-servicing. Not over-servicing as in too much, but the engine may not like having that much oil. And it'll just dump it overboard. They'll go out for an hour and a half, 2-hour training flight, and it'll just dump that oil overboard. And the bellies are always nasty on those training airplanes. They're always gross. The overboard drained, crankcase ventilation always sticks out of, at the edge of the cowling for the engine, and then those will come back pretty gross. Bam, right on the full mark. I couldn't have done that again if I tried. Excellent. So it needs oil needs to get into the filter. I'm going to leave it right there. We're going to get the battery in here. We're going to fill it up, or fire it up, start it up, let it run for just a little bit and see what it is. So I'm using the world's best oil. Drop in the comments, what would you use on one of these old big block V8s in the Chevy and the GMC 5500 series. Curious what you run. I know what I'm running, and it's got some lubrication properties in there for the flat tappets. So curious what would you run? You sticking with a conventional straight weight 30 weight? You're doing a 530, 1030, 1040, 540, 1540? You running oil for gas engines, diesel engines? What do you got? What are you running? So there we go. Oil change is done. I'm going to bring a battery out here and we're going to fire it up and see how it runs. Be right back. And I'm back with the battery. This is just a deep cycle battery I've had laying around. It'll work. Backwards. A couple months ago I couldn't do that. I had my shoulder repaired. Was not able to do that. So here's the positive. It feels good to be able to lift up a battery that high. Get this snugged up. Here's the negative. No sparks, that's a good thing. All right, air filter's down. That's hooked up, that's hooked up. I'm gonna run in and see how it fires up. I know it's got gas. Bump it 1,000 times. Choke out. Clear prop. There she goes. Neutral, clutch out. Take a look underneath. Nothing leaking. That's a good sign. These old engines, they're quite reliable. This one has an aftermarket carburetor on it. It's got an Edelbrock carburetor. Fuel flowing through the new filter. Nice. Nothing leaking. And underneath, no leaks. You see any leaks there? The rumble of the big block. The dual exhaust. Everything looks good here. All right. Fantastic. Probably all it needs. Give her a little throttle burp. Still cold. And it chokes all the way in. Yep, running smooth. RPM's picking up. Good oil pressure. Shut it down. Make sure keys in the off. Now that I've filled the hanger up with exhaust, crack the door open. It's warm enough outside now. See what's going on down the runway. I hear an airplane. Not coming in here though. Someone's up doing some training. Beautiful day to fly. Just enough wind. Get some training with wind correction. So there we go. And I did get a phone call this morning. The front brake pads, drums, and wheel cylinders are all ready for pickup. The next thing I need to do down there for the brakes is replace the hoses. Well, these hoses they need to get replaced. So I got to get them pulled off of there, get them to a brake shop, and get those replaced and get this backing plate all cleaned up. I've got a new master cylinder. Get that filled up with fluid, hooked up, and then we'll have to do some looking to see if the brake booster right here, see if the brake booster, how well it's doing before we pull the rear wheels. Woo, drop the camera. Before we pull the rear wheels off, I've been squirting them with penetrant oil. Those front ones are pretty tough to get off, so gave these a squirt, and it's almost ready to go. The other thing we're gonna have to do before hauling junk is pull the rear panel off and probably get a couple of 2x8s, build something up to fit in a couple of stake pockets. Not too much because we want to be able to open it up, or maybe fabricate a hinge, halves, open them up. And we'll be careful when we load junk up in here to take to the landfill or the scrap metal. Be careful not to pile so much back here that we can't pick those up, but definitely going to have to get that off to be able to dump. The sideboards might be okay. It might be better to pull the sideboards off and just leave a lower bed, something that we can tarp. Local landfill does require loads to be tarped, but if we can get a tarp tight enough over that and not pile up too high, I'd rather take 2 loads than 1 load really high that I can't properly tarp it. I'll just leave the tarp on when we dump. That'll be sweet. For the landfill. The metal recycling might be a little different, but it's getting to be about lunchtime, so that's it for this morning on the old GMC 5500. next up, be cleaning up the front brakes, getting ready to put those back on. So catch you this afternoon.